Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and for today's video I thought I would just do a few combination card kinds of demonstrations. Now, it's not to say that you interpret tarot like Lenormand or anything like that. In fact, I'm not very good at interpreting Lenormand, as most of you know. One of my New Year's resolutions for this year, 2025, was to use Lenormand. And how many Lenormand videos did you see? My brain is wired for tarot. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. However, that's not to say that in tarot, you do start to see patterns between cards. And if you do tarot long enough, you start to see all kinds of patterns, you know. I mean, let's face it, with a deck of 78 cards, I could lay out my signature spread of 13 cards a dozen times a day for the rest of my life and probably not see ever the same combination in the same spots of the 13 cards. There may be some that have similarities between them, but you'll never see them. And I may never run across the same run of cards that I'm about to show you again. However, I thought it was extremely interesting nonetheless. And when I saw it, I immediately understood what it was getting at. Now, in addition to my 767 videos, which are public on my channel, as you can imagine, there are a lot more than that are just private because for whatever reasons, I just decided they weren't good enough, or maybe I made one of my many faux pas. And I decided, oh, they're going to think I'm a moron if I release that because I said a word wrong or whatever. And because I don't know how to edit, I have to do a video over. You know what I'm saying? So for whatever reason, when I did this spread and this wonderful combination of cards popped up, one of my deepest regrets is that I just chose not to run it publicly because this was a great learning moment. And when I reviewed that video today, I think I did it last year. Oh wow, I have some interesting videos that are not public yet that I never made public. I'm going to mention them at the end. Don't let me forget. I'm going to write it down. It's chilling what I'm about. Okay, but at any rate, getting back to this. So I was reviewing some of my videos. I don't remember which one, and I came across these four cards, and it was in one of my signature spreads, and it was the top row. I'm not going to say what the question was because I don't even remember what the question was, but I remember how I understood these cards. And I definitely thought it was interesting enough to share. So in the row, I had, I believe it was the King of Coin, a man in a position of power, playing a con game with a woman who, whatever her position was, she could have been an attorney, she could have been a judge, but she, in any regard, she is a woman with a quick wit and a sharp mind. Now, it was probably a political reading, I'll give you that. But even if in real life you see this combination of somebody who has power over a situation and is very manipulative, who is trying to perhaps manipulate a woman of quick wit. Well, as I laid the cards, I don't really pay attention to what the quints are until it comes time to add them up. But when I did add them up and I put the quint card in its place, of course, since the queen and king the court cards have no value, numeric value, it was also the bachelier, or the magician card that we commonly call it. So it was like, it really changed the dynamic here, because it's like, okay, well, a person in a position of power is trying to, be manipulative or pull a con on a woman of a sharper capacity, than he, as far as the mind goes. But then with this card, it really verified, but she's playing the same game with him, and she's going to beat him at his own game, And I was like, oh, wow, I don't think I had ever had this combination of cards. And why would I ever have, unless I did my signature spread, right, where a quint card would come in? Because normally with a regular deck of tarot cards, rather, you would never have this combination, which is another reason why I love my spread. And I try to share it and show people it and try to use it, publicly, because I think, it's enhanced my understanding, so much. And, when you share something, it just, you share knowledge, right? Of course, if you do share it and you use it publicly, just like any, intelligent, what's it called when you develop something? It's like my intellectual material. If you do share my intellectual material, so to speak, I would appreciate, and I do expect recognition that, this is Marilyn's tarot spread, her signature spread from over at Tarot Clarity, But at any rate, I'm happy to share it, and, just as long as, somebody doesn't pretend that it's their spread. Okay, some other combinations. Here we have in a case where we have the growth of something, and it almost forms an arrow, right? Now we think more of the swords maybe as forming an arrow, but sometimes you can follow an arrow of cups. And let's see, say you have something like this. So of course, you could read it this way because the action is going this way, but you can read cards that way, and you can read cards both ways, right? So, here, if you see the combination going like this, it'd be like something pleasant. Well, probably better if it comes like this way. Something pleasant. Oh, no, what would be better than that? The Two of Cups, if I have it. I think it was one of the cards I pulled. I'm sorry for my disorganized... I thought I had two. Oh, here it is. So it could be like a friendly encounter is forthcoming, or something might arrive in peace, or a pleasantry will arrive or be delivered to you. I do tend to see court cards as representing individuals, especially if there's a social question. But, sometimes the message that is received isn't so much about a person arriving, but just that something will be arriving, Monetary aid might be arriving, for example, or a person in a position of monetary advantage might pleasantly surprise you with something. And let's look at one with the Tower card. Sometimes... Okay, these are just 3 random cards off the top. Now, I did just randomly pull a few cards. The only cards I didn't pull randomly were the 2 Magicians and the 2 Court cards, but the rest I just took from the top of the deck, okay? Just to randomly see what kind of combinations I can come up with. Let me pull this back. Now, remember, you'd have to do this in the context of a question, and so the question would have to be kind of specific to this, for this to be the answer. But say a person, generally has a general sense of malaise, or they're just, depressed. Now, aside from the fact that you encourage them to go seek counsel or get the professional help they need, or to confide in a trusted individual, and but also suggest that they get help. Don't become a doctor, and don't become a psychiatrist. But as part and parcel, in addition to that stuff, if something like this were to show up, it'd be like, well, there's an emotional drain, right? Something has escalated to the point of like above and beyond the ordinary. Like they've escalated emotionally. And if the person's telling you they're just feeling depressed, then it'd be like, and if something like this were to fall in a spread, and if you had 3 tiers, it'd be like, I might say, well, follow the money. Follow the money, right? Are you spending too much on a money pit? of what, I mean, it could be your house, but is there something in a person's life that's kind of becoming a money pit? Are they spending too much money on tarot cards, for example? You know what I'm saying? So follow the money. Follow the money that's causing that, or that's contributing to your depletion of emotion, right? Now, if it was here, here, and here, I might not see it that way or sense it that way, because the arrow is pointing there. Like my eye is going from this column of tens, right? This column of 10, to like an arrow regarding money, and then this, which is like another column, right? So my eye might be more drawn this way to recognize it as, well, follow the money. Like the money pit is the thing that's causing you distress. If I saw it this way, I probably wouldn't necessarily perceive that. But it's just the combination of cards, and in the combination in the way they lay. Let's see another quick combo. Let me shuffle. Okay, I guess I could do it on camera because it's not a real question for a real client. And I don't even have a whole deck. I'm just doing this as demonstration. And I'm not even going to have a real question. I'm just going to see, this might not be a bad exercise, to be honest. It's just take a random set of cards, randomly distribute tarot. I don't mean a random set of cards. I mean, let's do it like this. All right, let's get a full deck. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but this is the wonderful Bordoni by Benedetti. I hope I mentioned it. If I didn't, I do apologize. I'll just do a couple shuffles. Oh, let me go off camera for this so you don't have to hear all the noise. I personally love the sound of shuffling cards. I can sit. Sometimes I do. I actually come in my tarot parlor. My husband's watching a ball game or whatever, and I just come in here and I shuffle cards and I sit and meditate. And at any rate, now I do have a full deck of 78, and I'm just going to be looking. I have no question. I'm just looking for card combinations to see if they could satisfy like a expression, like follow the money or beating somebody at their own game. And this actually, if I wrote a book, I'd probably put this in it, would be an exercise to do, to try to do that. Now, not everyone is going to come up with, not every combination of cards is going to yield a response like that. But if you do 15 as an exercise, maybe 2 or 3 will. So don't expect a miracle with this random shuffle. Okay, so hanging around. We're looking for expressions, right? Or crime and punishment. Let's see. So we have the Hanged Man. Oh, okay. We have a growth. Now this, it would be better if we were looking up, but I'm just laying 3 cards across. Okay. So hanging out with the Queen, hanging out with your friend. See, I'm seeing this like if I'm trying to think of an expression, I'm thinking of hanging out or think of punishment, okay? So hanging out, punishment. Regarding a woman, or I guess you could say seeing something from another person's perspective. That would be better this way. Oh, this one's a bust. I told you some might be a bust. That one didn't pop out. If I knew how to edit, I would only take the ones that really worked out really well. And another thing is I probably should get like a cloth for the table so that it absorbs some of the echo or some of the noise when I riffle shuffle, because it's probably really loud for you guys. Okay, here's a couple more. Really? The universe just wants me to deal with this cards, or three, or the last one was at the 3 of coins. Okay, so it wants me to go this way. So I'm going to follow the lead. So they want me to lay the cards this way, so that's how I'm going to lay it. Okay, so we're going to follow the direction this way. Ooh, okay. Oh, and now we have another 3 that continues to go up. Now, generally speaking, my spreads are only like, you know, the deepest I usually go is 3. When I do the tarot tableau, which I've only done on this video, on this channel, I think once maybe. And I was actually thinking of doing it again in the next, you know, couple of days. So you can look forward to that. But the only time I would do more than 3 rows of 3 would be as if I was doing that. At any rate. And maybe not even, because it would, no, actually it would just be 3 rows of 3, 3 rows of 7. So I wouldn't. So the 3 rows of 3 is really the most that I would probably ever have it for me, okay? So, but we have a 3 of emotion going toward a lack of virtue or decadence that then is transformed into, from emotion to mental and beyond. Now, let's try to put that together and see if it's possible to come up with an expression that might represent. It's also interesting to note that although these are numerically 3, this has 3 individuals. Now, this guy in the center, of course, is the primary guy, but there are 3 individuals. So this is like, this would be something regarding 3, right? Obviously, there's a 3 in there somewhere. I mean, it could be something like get your heart or your mind out of the gutter, you know, and become a little more cerebral. It could be something like that. It could be, you know, a tendency to become emotional or become too emotionally invested in something that's not good for you. And make a shift to a more cerebral pursuit. But then that's not really an expression. That's an interpretation of 3 cards. So maybe it can't be done. Maybe it really has to be spontaneous, right? Maybe these things just have to come spontaneously. And, you know, maybe they can't be things that you try to artificially put out there. Because it really kind of makes sense, actually. I'm actually learning myself, because it actually makes sense, because when I can only speak for myself. When I receive a message in the context of the question, I'm interpreting the cards to answer that question. So I am seeing the cards from a different perspective than doing an exercise. Maybe the universe will throw me a bone. Let me throw 3 more cards and just see if the universe will throw me a bone for the purpose of demonstration, so I can actually make this a public video and not have it be one of the videos that never see the light of day. Okay, 7 is a transition, a number of transitions. So it's like moving forward. Okay, now it's also money, moving forward with money. Okay, could we say follow the money? Maybe it could be a follow the money kind of thing. Let's see. Follow the money. We have another disc up there. Well, I can tell you it would work better with just these 2 cards. You know, maybe money can't buy happiness, you know, something like that. Because if you see this as melancholy and then money, spending money or transitioning with money, a transaction with money. And now if it was sunshine, you know, if it was the sun card, I might say, well, money, invest money to make you happy. Or sometimes, you know, like have a day where you go have like, what's it called when you go shopping? So you have like shop therapy or some kind of like, what's it called? What kind of therapy is it when you spend money to kind of get some satisfaction. I forget the expression. But if it was like the Sun card, I would say that. But then here I would say, well, money maybe can't buy happiness. That might be an expression. Now I did lay the third card. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy power. You know, money can't buy happiness. But I don't think that's really an expression. Well, at any rate, I really don't want to put this in another pile of private videos that never sees the light of day. So I hope you got some value from this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, friends, peace, stay well, be brave, and please be kind.